I'm getting the nest.com/E24 error, no power to RH wire detected. But with my multimeter, I measured 24 volts AC between the RH and C wires, which I think is what it should be. The condensate pan under the air handler is dry, and the float switch is not the issue. The air filter has been changed recently, so that is not the issue. The air handler system is receiving 120 V power. I tested it with one of those pen-like AC detectors. The light switch to the air handler is on. The air handler system's transformer has power and is putting out 24 VAC as it should. I checked the fuse on the air handler board, it's intact and completes a circuit. I removed the RH and G wires from the thermostat, wired them together to see if the blower runs on the air handler. It does. So the air handler's fan starts fine and runs fine, if the thermostat would call it to do so. I then removed the RH and G and Y wires from the thermostat, connected those three all together. The air handler fan ran and the AC worked and cool air came into the house, as expected. It continued to work for several minutes, until I disconnected the wires. I then wired the Nest back together, but put the red wire into RC instead of RH. The error changed to saying that the common wire has no power. Please advise on what to check next. I'm generally aware of how to use a multimeter and can do circuits and wiring. More details: I removed the RH and G wires from the thermostat, wired them together to see if the blower runs on the air handler. It does. So the air handler's fan starts fine and runs fine, if the thermostat would call it to do so. I then removed the RH and G and Y wires from the thermostat, connected those three all together. The air handler fan ran and the AC worked and cool air came into the house, as expected. It continued to work for several minutes, until I disconnected the wires. I then wired the Nest back together, but put the red wire into RC instead of RH. The error changed to saying that the common wire has no power. Please advise on what to check next. I'm generally aware of how to use a multimeter and can do circuits and wiring.
Russ here. Just picked up question. I'm impressed you did everything right. Have had this problem on several Nest stats in the last 3 months. Contacted Nest on 2 of them and did the same troubleshooting you performed. Bad thermostat was the conclusion. Install new thermostats and worked perfect. Russ.
Hi Russ, thanks for your response. My Nest, actually there's several in this house, but that particular one is hooked up to a single zone air handler, was installed in 2014, hence it must be way out of warranty. I'm not sure if Nest would replace the unit if it turns out to be broken. So, to be sure it was the Nest thermostat, I moved one of the Nests that is functioning over to the broken air handler, and I got the same error, E24, no power to RH. So then I thought, oh, maybe the backplate, the Nest has a backplate that the wire's actually attached to, is broken. But then I also moved a functioning backplate to the broken air handler and still got the same error, sadly. So then I thought, oh, maybe the broken Nest is mostly decharged, and the current draw from recharging the battery is causing a voltage drop. But then I recharged the Nest all day using a USB cable and charger, and still same E24 error. So, I'm kind of out of luck. I could try to order a new Nest and see if that fixes it, or I guess I could try to hook up the old Honeywell thermostats that were installed prior to my installing Nests and see if one of those will work. If that works, it would squarely implicate the Nest. Question: is it possible that the transformer is shot and when the Nest is hooked up to it, the current is causing a voltage drop, from 24 VAC to something much lower, and maybe that's causing my issue, in which case I just need a new 24 VAC transformer? In your experience, is it typical for a 120-vac to 24-vac transformer to degrade substantially after 10 to 15 years of continuous use, or do transformers tend to be robust over that sort of time horizon? Hi Russ, I put my old Honeywell thermostat on the wall and it all works fine, so it would seem the nest itself has simply failed, as you said. So I'll call Nest and see if they can send me a replacement, although I think they might want me to buy a new unit. I'm still a little curious whether you find that the 120-vac to 24-vac transformers tend to fail over time, and how long they typically last, or do those tend to last indefinitely?
Never know about transformers. Power surges will weaken them, but they will start to make a humming noise. I have replaced units that were 35 years old and still had same transformer. Today a customer called me to replace his thermostat with a Nest. Thermostat was bad out of box. Would not even light up. Installed a Honeywell Lyrics Wi-Fi and it worked fine. Never know good work on your part.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.